a lot of these folks are what we would call the blue-collar workers and voters. And so the president reaching out to them in a personal way, trying to hold on to these voters in 2012. Again, he has big support in
the president has
stepped
up to the podium. Let's listen in. The President of the United States, everyone.
How's it going, Poland? Well, it is good to be here. Everybody have a seat. It is good to be here in Poland. A couple people I just want to acknowledge. First of all, give Dan a big round of applause. He was outstanding. Your Congressman, Tim Ryan, is in the House. Doing outstanding work. One of my favorite people, former Congressman John Boccieri, is here. Give him a round of applause. And Youngstown Mayor Chuck Samaroni is here. Where's Chuck? There he is right here. And all of you are here. I'm excited about that. Hey! So, I hope everybody had a good 4th of July. I had a great 4th of July. We had some folks over to the house. Had a little, grilling going on in the backyard. A few fireworks. It gave us a chance to say thank you to the incredible men and women in uniform. We invited a whole bunch of military families over. They do such a great job preserving our freedom. It was Malia's birthday on the 4th of July. She's now 14. And, it used to be I could get away with telling her the fireworks were all for her. But she's a little old for that now. She doesn't believe me. But she says hi. Michelle says hi. Sasha, Bo, everybody says hi. I think Malia's got some friends over, and Michelle decided unsupervised 14-year-olds was not a good idea. Now, as you may have heard, we're on the bus here in Ohio. We've been traveling through. We went to Parma and Sandusky and Maumee, and now we're here. And Oak Harbor, Akron, and I've been eating a lot. And people have been commenting I need to gain some weight, so... Who said that? Yes. Well, you'll be happy to know that I've been eating. And in between the eating, we've been talking a little bit about politics. Now, you guys are getting bombarded with all kinds of nonsense on TV. So, I know that sometimes politics can be discouraging, and especially Washington politics can be discouraging. And it can seem small and it can seem petty. But the choice in this election could not be bigger. And the stakes could not be higher. This year is going to be about more than just two candidates or even two political parties. What's at stake this time is two fundamentally different visions about how America moves forward. Two ways of thinking about this country. When I think about America, I think about my family. I think about my grandfather who fought in World War II, and my grandmother who, even with a baby, was working on a bomber assembly line. And when my grandfather came back home, he got the opportunity to go to college because of the GI Bill. And I think about my mom, single mom, because my dad left when I was a baby. So she had to raise me and my sister with the help of my grandparents, and it was tough sometimes, but she was able to do it and get her own education and then ensure I got a great education because she was able to get student loans and grants. And then I think about Michelle's parents. Her dad worked at the water filtration plant, blue-collar worker in Chicago, and Mom stayed at home looking after the kids, and then when the kids got older, she went to work as a secretary at a bank, and she worked there most of her life. And when I think about both Michelle's family and my family, what I am reminded of is what made America great was this basic idea, this basic bargain that all of you experienced in your own families. Your parents, your grandparents, your great-grandparents, maybe some of them emigrated here from someplace else. But the idea was, here in America, you can make it if you try. You know, that it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter what you look like, where you come from, what church you worship in. The idea is that if you were willing to put in the work and take responsibility for your family, just like Dan was talking about, if you were willing to stick with it and tough it out when times got tough sometimes, that ultimately hard work was rewarded and responsibility was respected. And you didn't just look out for yourself, but you looked out for your community as well as your family and your country. And you know, nobody expected to get fabulously rich, although it was great if people got rich. But when I think about my family or Michelle's family, you know, what made us rich was spending time together. And the idea was that, you know, if our families were of good character and had good values, and you were willing to work hard, then you could find a job that paid a decent wage. And eventually, saving up, you could own a home. And you knew that you wouldn't go bankrupt when you got sick because you had some health insurance. And maybe you took a vacation every once in a while. And it wasn't necessarily some fancy vacation at some fancy resort. You know, the best vacation I had when I was a kid was my grandmother and my mom and my sister, we traveled around the country on Greyhound buses and on trains, and we stayed at Howard Johnson's. And, you know, I was 11, and so if there was any kind of swimming pool, it didn't matter how big it was, right? You'd spend the whole day there, and then, you know, you were real excited to go to where the vending machine was and the ice machine and get the ice, and that was like a big deal. And you just see the sights and stop by a diner someplace. So you'd have that chance to take a little bit of time off to spend with your family. And then when you retire, you're able to retire with dignity and respect. And you were part of a community. And that basic bargain is what built this country. That's what made us an economic superpower. That's what made us the envy of the world. Not the fact that we had the most millionaires or billionaires, but the fact that our economy grew from the middle out, and there were ladders of opportunity for people to get into the middle class, even if they were born poor. And the reason I ran for president, the reason I ran the first time for a state Senate seat on the south side of Chicago was because for too many people, that bargain, that dream felt like it was slipping away. For too many people. We had gone through a decade where people were working harder and harder, but they didn't see any increase in income. And profits were going sky high for a lot of companies, but jobs weren't growing fast enough. And the cost of everything from health care to college tuition to groceries to gas kept going up faster than people's incomes. So a lot of folks felt like that idea that we not only could live a good middle-class life, but more importantly, we could pass it on to our kids. And they could succeed the way we might not have imagined. They could go to college and do some things that we couldn't imagine doing. That felt like it was slipping away for too many people. That's why I got into politics. That's why I ran for president. That's why in 2008, a lot of you came together and helped support us. And we didn't even realize then that we were going to be getting hit with the worst economic crisis, the worst financial crisis in our lifetimes. And obviously, the hardship that occurred because of that made that dream even a little bit further out of reach for too many people. You know, we came together, and it wasn't just Democrats, by the way, it was independents and Republicans who wanted to figure out how do we put that basic bargain back together to grow the middle class, not from the top down, but from the middle and from the bottom up. That was our idea. Now, we knew from the start in 2008 that turning that around wasn't going to happen overnight. It didn't happen overnight, and so we weren't going to reverse it overnight. But we've been steady. We've worked hard, and I know all of you have worked hard, and Dan's story is typical of so many people I meet who had to make adjustments and deal with some disappointments, but came back stronger and came back tougher. And that's what America and that's what Ohio's been doing. So over the last, several years, what we've seen are people who go out and retrain for new jobs. And small businesses have to adapt, and sometimes the owner doesn't take a salary just to keep folks on the payroll. And I met a woman yesterday in Parma who I had met a year earlier. She had been out of work for 2 years and had gone back to community college at the age of 55 and retrained. And I saw her in the rope line after my speech. She had just been certified and was starting her new job on Tuesday. And after having done 2 years at the community college. So those stories are duplicating themselves all across Ohio and all across the country. But it's still tough out there. We learned this morning that our businesses created 84,000 new jobs last month. And that overall means that businesses have created 4.4 million new jobs over the past 28 months, including 500,000 new manufacturing jobs. That's a step in the right direction. That's a step in the right direction. But we can't be satisfied because our goal was never to just keep on working to get back to where we were back in 2007. I want to get back to a time when middle-class families and those working to get into the middle class have some basic security. That's our goal. So we've got to grow the economy even faster, and we've got to put even more people back to work. And we've got to tap into the basic character of this country, because our character has not changed, even though we've gone through some tough times these last few years. It hasn't changed our character. It hasn't changed what made us great. It hasn't changed why we came together in 2008. So again, our mission is not just to get back to where we were before the crisis. We've got to deal with what's been happening over the last decade, the last 15 years. Manufacturing leaving our shores. Incomes flatlining. All those things are what we've got to struggle and fight for. And that's the reason that I'm running for a second term as President of the United States. I want to move this country forward. I want to move this country forward.
President of the United States there at a campaign event in Poland, Ohio, talking jobs and economy. But once again, the biggest economic report of the month is disappointingly small.